Everybody, welcome to the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. Christy Francesco, George Rogers is here, and we are joined again, like every so often, just like I kind of do with their show. Dean Holzapple's here. Dean, it's been a little bit, so how you doing,
Mhm.
man?
Better than last night. I'll tell you that
Well,
much.
apparently, based on what we've been talking
The
about,
discussion we were talking about, and you call it gorilla, right? We call it
I
basketball.
call it Gorilla. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh
Well, we could
boy.
be like TNA, and we can call it the Go position.
No.
What about we can call it the Dusty, like they did in AEW?
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think they
No,
call it that. I think they just call it bullshittery.
all
did
right.
I hear it from my life position?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm sorry. That's this. Ah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's so funny.
Oh man.
All right. So today we are going over our top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. I thought about breaking this up into two from 10 to 6 and 5 to 1, but it shouldn't be super long. We don't have much to talk about at the top of the show here, as far as I know. You're
Who
not going to
cares?
get
You all are going to sit around till number one. This could be
yeah,
5 hours
right,
long. You
right.
all sit through it.
Right, and there's not a whole lot at the top of the show here. I'm not going to be talking about AEW or anything like that, so you're
Is
not going to get
George?
that out of me. He probably will, but
I got nothing to
George,
say about him.
like we
Oh
always
wow.
do.
You're feeling all right?
Um,
Check your forehead.
checking your temperature through the screen.
You're good. Good.
That's funny. George, wrestling news according to you, my man. What's on your mind?
Yeah, big thing right now. And I was actually a little mad that we recorded before this happened last week, but we got TNA and WWE working together.
Yes, it's
When was the last
really
time
really
WWE's
cool, man.
actively worked with another company? Probably what, ECW in 1997?
Yeah, ECW, like
Or
that
like
was the
old
last
NWA
Yeah.
time.
when like Jarrett was
And then some
NWA.
Japanese stuff in the late '80s. I think that's about it.
Yeah,
But like this is
yeah.
huge because Jordan Grace debuted last week on NXT and showed she had a match last night against Stevie Turner, which she of course won. But she's wearing the Knockouts title and she had on the back of her gear it said NXTNA. Like
Mhm.
this is huge. This company would never acknowledge another company like
Yeah,
at
I
all
mean,
ever.
it's such a, and we've talked about this before. There's such a juggernaut now, where it's almost like how the NFL is working with the UFL. It's
Which is
just like
awesome, by the way.
it's really cool, yeah, and it's going to be a filter system, and that's great. It's great for the business. From what I gather, George, I think you posted it earlier. NXT had a huge rating, and I'm
768,000.
yeah, I mean that's going to beat Dynamite. I mean it's going to.
I'm excited to
And
see what their ratings
Excuse
are
me,
going to be
MJF
on
just called out
CW.
Rush. That's
Rush, he called out George St. Pierre. That's wild.
it's wild.
He called out Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson.
He called out Neil Peart. He's going for a cheap win.
Oh, yeah. So it's a really cool thing that they're doing. I mean, we saw bits of it at the Royal Rumble, and now we're really seeing it come to a head. I'm sure this is going to be. I'm assuming soon they'll announce some kind of partnership with TNA because Eric Bischoff said on his Wise Choices podcast last night he was asked a question from a fan and the question was, what does TNA need to do to be successful or be considered a legitimate brand? And he said it's very simple. They just need television.
Yeah.
And that's all they need.
Yeah.
And just like that, with one person on NXT, you've got 770,000 people. So like the TNA brand had huge exposure. Over the last 2 weeks, the TNA brand has had more exposure than they've had in years. So it's really cool. I think it's really neat. TNA has some really good talent. Jordan Grace is spectacular. So good for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of it's cool.
I mean, it's all upside for TNA. There's really no downturn for them unless like it's all an elaborate ruse to scout TNA for the best talent and then bring them over to WWE. But this seems like it's like a legit partnership, and it can only help them. But you said they need TV. They need to get the fuck off of Access TV. Not every place carries that, but get on like an actual network channel,
Yeah.
like a USA or TNT. Some play the
I
one
mean,
of
the
the channels
CW,
that's
it
available
makes
normally.
sense.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't the CW want more, live programming like that, right?
Well, they don't want to run the risk of having someone do cocaine on their show. That's why they didn't take
Uh,
NWA.
That's fair enough.
But NWA is on CW.
It's not anymore.
It just recently it was. I was scrolling through the channels.
It might have been a rerun. That's pretty cool if
Could've
that's the
been.
case. And what else you got in your mind, George?
That's all I got. I mean, Meltzer's shitty star ratings, but I'm not giving him the time of day right now. So
Okay. Sounds good.
he he gets enough fluff from the other places.
All right.
we ain't got his time for him.
The next segment we're going to kind of introduce here is Dean and I rant about Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that.
No, that's gonna be me tomorrow in the multiverse.
Oh, thanks for that invite. I can't wait to now
Not
not listen to it. But yeah, so we're gonna now get into our top 10. So we're gonna go from right to left. So Dean's gonna go first, then George, then myself. Very much looking forward to this. I've made it a point to not go back and touch my list now for the last week and a half. And I just looked at it again, and I'm very secure about it. And I'm looking forward to everyone's list here. And then at the end of the show, we will go over what's ahead on the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. A really fun summer coming up. And then we're going to go over again because it is June. So we're getting closer to September when this really cool thing that we're doing each and every week on this show regarding WCW and WWF. It's great because WCW is like the in thing right now. And it's going to be really cool to cover all that. So let's get into this main segment. Number 10.
What the hell?
What the hell was that? You just spring that on us? Didn't even give us a heads up? They just
I'm sorry. Was that bad?
I mean,
No,
to
it just
be
started. I
fair,
was like,
you know,
what
it
happened?
just threw me off. Because, we don't get shocked in the world of wrestling anymore. And thank God the big boy, Chris DeFranco, is here to
The big boy Christopher.
to keep kayfabe alive.
Oh, that's funny. It was a swerve, bro. You had no idea it was coming. So, all right,
His
Dean.
5 to 1 is going to be different versions of HBK.
It's going to be different versions of Shawn Michaels.
10 through 2 is going to be HBK number 1 of Seth Rollins. Are we doing honorable and dishonorable?
If you want to do dishonorable, fire away. So go,
I mean, I don't have it dishonorable, but
oh, okay.
fuck
All
the
right.
Warrior. Since you gave me the platform,
I think we all agree.
And that piece of shit Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, I think we all agree to that.
I mean, I was just going to say Brutus, but
oh boy, Brutus.
he's
Well,
never good.
I'm gonna actually. I have one more real fast.
Go ahead.
Buff Bagwell.
He's a legend.
Oh my god, I just drew a blank on his name.
Memphis Tag Team
Tom
Champion.
Zink.
No, he's number 1. We can stop the show now.
Just stop the show.
Oh god, what's his name? George, the British guy from AEW.
The British guy from AEW.
Yeah, British Kenny Omega.
Oh, Will Ospreay.
Yeah, fuck him.
The guy
No.
who says bruv.
Yeah,
He's a pussy.
Oh
Guess
boy.
I guess he can't. I guess he can't handle the grind. I guess Triple H was right.
Listen, that flying back and forth once a week is rough on him.
It is.
Anyway, let me start. All right.
All right. Yeah, Dean, you're number 10.
Should be no surprise to anybody. It's Christy Francesco.
God knows I remember where I was that day he won the light heavyweight title from Goldberg.
I remember that day I beat Taka Michinoku in the Tokyo Dome.
No, it's Bret
It's
Hart.
Nice.
Yeah, I was a big Hart fan as a kid. Loved him. I remember I had this poster on my wall. And the other side was Triple H, was HBK, but for some reason Bret Hart's nipples were really hard on it.
I bet.
It was really, really disturbing.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of Bret Hart, Dean, I watched the first episode of Who Killed WCW, which I mean we know the reason. It's like, let me go and like see this shit. And they asked the people, if you had to give a eulogy to WCW, what would it be? And like different people said different things. And Bret Hart was just like, go fuck yourselves.
Thanks for nothing. Go F yourselves.
Thanks for nothing. Go fuck yourselves. It's like
that dude made so much money there.
The angriest man
but he hated it. He hated every minute of it because he never wanted to leave the Fed.
Right, of course.
Then he should have taken a pay cut.
Yeah.
All right, George, you're number 10.
My number 10 is old Randall Keith Orton.
Oh, Luthez.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah, Randy Orton. I actually, to be honest, I thought he would have been higher.
Orton's Orton. The last time I made a top 10 list 18 months ago, Orton wasn't even on it.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like what he's done lately, and the fact that I kind of went back and looked, and everybody that Orton works with gets elevated.
Yeah.
Like everyone looks better being in the ring with Randy Orton, and he's like helping the younger people, and he still looks great in the ring. He's still performing at a high level. So nothing but respect.
Yeah. I agree.
I care that he got dishonorably discharged from the Marines. I give a shit. I don't.
I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah, no, I bet 90%.
Well, it'll come up.
Know.
It'll come up later when the hot thing will be to shit on Randy Orton because everything comes in waves.
Yeah. I know hundreds of people who did drugs to get kicked out of the military. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. I know so many people who went AWOL and did drugs just to get kicked out. So
I mean, Ted Nugent shit himself for a week just so he wouldn't get drafted. Yeah, there's your honorable American.
My number 10 is Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Wow, he's that low.
Yeah.
Oh, so wow. Somebody hates the final boss.
Well, I will say, I went back and looked at my previous 2 lists. He wasn't even in the top 10. So
really,
he's made the top 10. Yeah.
I'm like shook right now.
Good. See, like twice in the one show.
Wow. I expected him to be a lot higher though. That's shocking to me.
Yeah. So
I don't remember the last list we did. So I probably was shocked then too.
Go smoke some crack.
He's in the top 10 just because of that line.
Oh my gosh. He's in the top 10 because of what he just did. And look, he could climb the list. It's going to be really difficult to do, but he could climb if he comes back and he does it again, what he just did.
I'm sure he will, honestly.
Because what we just saw from him is, I can't even begin. Again, we've talked about this a couple times. He's just, it was unbelievable what he did. And when he did say every week, he made wrestling cool again, it's not a lie. He may have lied on, Who Killed WCW, but he didn't lie when he said, he made wrestling cool again, because he did. And, kudos to him for really, again, he doesn't need any of this. And he went so hard in that last run. It was just awesome.
I think he will do it again, because every time he's come back, when he came back as Hollywood Rock, that was a hit. When he came back in 11 to eventually face off with Cena, he was incredible there.
Yep.
And then obviously the follow-up match, and then just now was incredible. So I fully expect him to come back whenever it is. We don't even know really. I expect it to be money again.
Mm-hmm. And now that they're a little more bold with the rating system, they're not strictly to PG. We'll probably get a lot more of what we just got.
Right.
I expect him to murder Cody Rhodes, honestly.
Oh dear God.
I'm just going to pull out a knife and just stab him and be like, "Hey, I told you, Mama Rhodes, look, I got blood on my knife."
I think that's the end of the story. Like the setup is just murder on TV.
Yeah.
It's just the end.
This movie's called Cody Dies at the End.
Yeah.
It's no holds barred too.
About time.
Finally.
I know. Dean, number 9.
This is a guy.
Here's a guy.
I wish I could find my old list, because I don't think he was on my list. And if he was probably in the same spot. But this is somebody I truly appreciate later in life, and it's John Cena. I truly appreciate John Cena.
I think you had Cena higher, but don't hold me to that, because
I can't remember, and I don't remember what
have to go back and
on,
listen. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have
but
to go back and see.
I'm just gonna start writing things down as we're doing these lists. That way we can go
Mhm.
back later, and then I'll
Please.
like lose the notebook. Well, I'm not
That-
writing them down now.
I
I'll lose the
typically-
notebook.
I can go to YouTube now and just scroll through everything. So it's
That's
fine.
right.
I typically delete my notes after a while in my phone because there's just so many. You know, I'm just like, I don't need that anymore. Don't need anymore. So whatever my last list was, I had no idea what it was.
George, you're number 9.
My number 9, this guy's always been on my top 10 list. He's always going to be there. It's Roddy Piper,
Cool.
one of the greatest heels of all time.
Yeah.
Master on the mic, always 10 steps ahead. Always love Roddy Piper.
You know what's crazy about the lore of Piper is when you talk to people about Roddy Piper, rarely will you ever hear them mention a match he was in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's always everything he did outside of the ring. And I think that's a huge like badge of honor in the wrestling business, because and it's the same thing with like Badger, the Fabulous Freebirds.
Yeah.
No one
Freebirds.
ever mentions a great match that Michael P.S. Hayes was in, but they'll tell you that he literally would put asses in seats just by talking.
Mhm.
And he would talk people into the building, and I feel like that's like Roddy Piper. He talked people into buildings. And look, without
and who knows how big Hulkamania would have got
that's what I'm
if
saying.
Piper wasn't the
Yeah.
first real villain.
Yeah.
For Hogan.
Those big heroes need that big foil, and that was Roddy Piper, and it was all. I love Piper. It's just he's one of those rare occasions where when you say Roddy Piper, no one goes, I love that match he did with this guy. No, but he didn't need that.
And you want to talk about just real quick before we move on, is the crossover appeal that he had. I mean, Hogan went and did movies too, but if we go back and look at those movies, like aside from Rocky 3, that's like an outlier, but like Mr. Nanny, Santa with Muscles, No Holds Barred, we watch them, we're like, yeah, these are great, but they are shit fucking movies.
Suburban Commando, legend.
Yeah, I know. But like, I mean, what's even more wild is that was initially supposed to be Arnold and Danny DeVito, but they did twins instead.
Ah, good choice.
Yeah, great choice. Well, like, but when you talk about, even when you mention Roddy Piper to somebody who's not into wrestling, they'll be like, "Oh, the guy from They Live." It's like, yeah, like They Live is one of John Carpenter's jewels. When it comes to movies, it's a great movie that's always gets revisited, and Piper was the leading man in that movie.
Yep. That's great. All right. So my number 9 is the brother man himself, Hulk Hogan. I didn't
brother Jack, dude.
brother Jack, dude.
Hollywood Jack, brother dude.
Look, I didn't he may have been a little higher in my previous list, like maybe like 1 or 2 spots higher, but I when I got to the end of the list, I said when I got to like around 8, 9, and 10, I said, look, I have to put Hogan in my list. I cannot ever for the rest of my life have a top 10 list without Hulk Hogan. It just, it can't happen, because if there's no Hogan, I don't ever find professional wrestling. I doubt it. And I think that's the case for most millennials, I assume, right? I mean, maybe Austin is that guy for a lot of millennials. But I would say, look, Hogan will have to always be in my top 10 because I have him as the greatest wrestler of all time in terms of, not in-ring work. I mean, the business, encompassing the business. He's the number 1 name of all time. Yeah. And I don't care how big The Rock is. I don't care how big Austin is. Look, most people, we've talked about this, maybe it's starting to go back to it now because of what just happened, but for the last 10 to 12 years, there's millions of people who don't know that The Rock was a great wrestler and was a superstar. But if you ask anyone around the world, you say the name Hulk Hogan, oh, he's wrestling. That's what makes him.
You get that small group that were like, oh yeah, the guy from Thunder in Paradise.
What, the people who were on the show with him and then lived under a rock?
That's correct.
Yeah, I like that show. I do.
Yeah.
No, yes, but you don't live under a rock. You live in Delanco. It's a difference. I mean, there are people who, I'm sure there's at least 5 people who, emerged from the primordial soup watched all of Thunder in Paradise, and then after it got canceled, they're like, "Well, there's nothing worth living for again," and went back under a rock just to wait for it to get released on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I wish.
My wife just came in the background and said, "Oh yeah, Hulk Hogan, the guy who sleeps with other people's wives."
What a stud!
My man. Shout out to Bubba the Love Sponge.
Hey, listen,
What?
we,
What a
we
scumbag.
all have our role models.
I
Right,
thought she came in and said, "You better not have that piece of shit Bill Goldberg on your list."
he's not. Trust me.
She came in and kicked Chris in the head and gave him a concussion.
All right, Dean, you're number 8.
Randy Orton.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I've always been an Orton fan. That was part of the reason why I didn't like Cena originally.
That makes sense.
I was an
Yeah.
Orton guy. He's so naturally good and gifted in the ring. You could grate cheese on his abs. Like, he just looks like $1 million. He's an absolute
Always goes back
Adonis.
to cheese.
He is.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's always cheese with me. Are you kidding me?
Goes back to cheese.
Jeez.
I saw a video of a guy chopping up some fresh provola earlier, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Was I think? Was it? I was like that. When I
He
was
looked
like
at
that
it
one
and
that
went,
you sent me.
"Ooh."
When I was like that. When I was like that one you sent me, or the guy who made that big
That
sandwich.
was it. That was it.
I definitely
watched
thought
it like
like
5 times.
when he put the dough in the thing, I'm like, he's gonna throw that in the fucking water, isn't he?
Mhm.
Like, so the motion of it.
You're
And he's still going. And he's still going.
oh,
You
he's
can't
still
even-
going, and he's still one
Yeah.
of the, he still tells great stories in the ring, which is
He
a rare
wants to go
thing
to-
these days.
He wants to go to 50. I think he said. I really would like to see him win the belt one more time.
Yeah.
One more time.
Just one more time. Give me one more run with him.
Mm-hmm. George, you're number 8.
My number 8 is Kurt Angle,
Oh, I did not expect him on your list. That's a good one.
the Olympic gold medalist. Listen, I mean, Perk Angle aside, and I'm not even gonna deny, I love Perk Angle.
Oh, I
in
love
TNA.
Perk Angle.
Oh man, what a time TNA was! Just a loose band of miscreants running around, giving you some great wrestling that you didn't even know you were tuning in for.
Mm-hmm.
But Kurt stood out when he debuted,
Yeah.
not just because of how good he is in the ring, but this man stood toe to toe with everybody who was at the top of that company, and was like, I belong up here just like you guys do. Fuck you. And made a legendary career. I mean, this man won every singles title in his first count. Well, every important singles title, not including the hardcore and light heavyweight and all that other bullshit. But the Intercontinental, European, King of the Ring, and the world title in his first year. That was just his rookie year. Not to mention everything that follows.
And George, we talked about this just covering our show the other week. He went over to ECW.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wow.
okay.
Hey, had they not crucified Sandman, he would have signed with them.
Yeah.
I know. That's
a moment.
wild.
But
You-
Kurt
can you
never has
imagine
never has a bad match. Oh man, him and
Imagine-
Shane Douglas all day.
him and Douglas, him
Ju-
and Mikey Whipwreck,
Ju-
him and New
Just
Jack,
incredible.
him and RVD in ECW would have been awesome.
Him and Lance
He would've
Storm too.
He would have been on the perk a little bit quicker if he was. in
Oh
ECW.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And probably other things.
I mean, I hear when you got your first paycheck from ECW, it came stapled with a prescription for perks.
Well, that's all Heyman could afford.
Paycheck was in pesos.
My number 8 is AJ Styles. That's someone that I've really grown to really appreciate over the past probably 5 to 6 years. And you look at this guy, and it took him so long to get to the WWE, and the second he arrives, he's a top guy. And I really do. By the way, I want to comment on this. I heard Kurt beat Brock, and by the way, that is accurate. He didn't just beat
accurate.
Brock; he embarrassed Brock Lesnar. The stories have come out where, they were kind of like going at it for a few weeks together in the back, and then they finally just said, "All right, let's go to the ring." So the ring was set up. All the boys surrounded the ring, and Kurt Angle ran circles around Brock Lesnar, and made him tap out. So there's a big difference between a Olympic gold medalist and a high school and college All-American. So,
I mean,
you know,
Brock's a bad man, but
oh,
Yeah.
Brock's a bad
Kurt
man.
Kurt is legit, like, considered one of the greatest collegiate wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt Angle probably at that time too when he did that was still a mutant. So, so yeah,
But did
that's
he
a real
have a
story.
broken freaking neck?
He probably did at the time.
When
So
did
yeah.
he?
But yeah, AJ Styles is my number 8. I think he still puts on 4 to 5 star matches every time. He just did one with Cody Rhodes
Yeah.
a little bit ago.
Can I ask you a question, Quist?
Sure,
I think I called you Quist, by the way.
it's okay.
You
It's
did.
all right.
It's fine.
Chris,
It's a new name. Quiz.
Quist.
Quisty Francisco.
I pitched this to George the other day, and I'll see if you would agree with me. Do you? Oops, there we go. I didn't realize I was leaning off camera.
It's okay.
Do you think that AJ should beat Cody for the belt in this program they're clearly doing right now?
No.
No, because I think he should.
I would like it to happen because I think Cody's run is not successful from a story standpoint. I think Cody Rhodes is so much better and so much more effective chasing the title.
Like most baby faces.
Like most, I think that's the most fun part about wrestling is the chase.
Yeah.
And I'll always agree with that. Look, I would love the reason why I'm going to say no is because I don't know what's going on with SummerSlam. I don't know what's going on with Cody and the Bloodline. Roman's supposed to be back next month. So
is it next month? Ooh, okay.
that was the report is that he's going to be ready to go in July.
Okay.
If that's the case, then I guess you kind of have to keep you spent 2 years building the guy. I guess you got to give him through SummerSlam.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't know how long the program was going to be. I was thinking maybe you should drop it at like, I don't know, Night of Champions or something like that, and then get it back at the Rumble or something. I don't know,
That would be
what
good.
What I don't want to see is what they did with Shinsuke and AJ, where Shinsuke should have absolutely taken the belt off of AJ, and then AJ should have regained it back in that program. And I kind of don't want to see that same thing happen again here with him and Cody.
Well, I think the real question probably is, Dean and George, loop you in there, is if it is going to be what's rumored to be Rock and Cody at WrestleMania 41, I mean, that can't be for the title, right?
I guess in theory, if the Rock,
I mean, it could, but he's not going to win. The Rock's not going to win. So
I mean, we don't think so. I mean, he could win the belt and hold it for a year and drop it to Roman the next Mania.
I mean, he could. It could.
I guess if the ultimate end game is to get Rock to go, to have Roman go over the Rock to end it all, you would have to. I don't think the belt needs to be involved. But then again, Roman's character really only works as a champion. So at some point, that the belt needs to end up back around Roman's waist. So do you put it back on him at this Mania, or do you wait another year and do it when he goes over the Rock? And that's going to be huge because the Rock will be, this epic heel, bigger than Roman ever was, and Roman will probably be, the biggest baby face in the company because he's the biggest star in the company. Even though Cody's pretty big though.
Of course, yeah. All right, so over to you, Dean, for number 7.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
I thought he would have been in your top 5.
He used to be, but over the years he's dropped down. Like I don't see my list ever really changing besides this, but that's a good place for him. I've always been. You guys know. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a massive Macho Man fan.
Yeah. All right, that's a good one. George, number 7.
My number 7 is the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan.
Okay, so
Hulk Hogan.
It was the same mindset that you had, Chris. Like, I think this guy is the greatest of all time in terms of being the total package. Like, how do I leave him off my top 10?
Exactly. Yeah.
This is a guy that I wanted to watch. It was the whole reason for watching WCW back in the day was the NWO and Hulk Hogan. He's the leader of the NWO. You're watching him, regardless. But Hogan was a guy who would talk you into the building, main event the show, and send you home happy. I mean, the matches were formulaic as shit, but that's how it was at the time. Hogan was the biggest name in the company. He's going to be the main event. He's not winning mid-card titles and shit.
Right.
No.
He's the guy that got all of us into the business. And everybody that's part of our generation that watches now, I don't care who the fuck your favorite wrestler is or whatever bullshit you have, it's Hogan. It's always been Hogan.
Right.
Whether you want to admit it or not, that's the guy.
I agree.
It's plain and simple. Yes, I know Hogan has a bit of an issue with his memory and he can't quite remember things the same way anymore. Maybe because he worked 400 days a year back then. I don't know. Maybe he was banging people's wives. Possibly. But Hogan will forever be.
He did do that.
Yeah. He will forever be the number one guy in the business.
Brother.
Nobody will ever surpass what he has done.
No, for sure. I agree. All right. So my number 7 is, again, this kind of piggybacks off of what Dean said earlier. My number 7 is John Cena. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, he might have been in my top 3 of my most hated list. And it's just crazy to think, this is, it's crazy to think that, I miss this dude so much. Like when he's back, I look at this, I go, God, I wish he was back every single week. And it's wild because, they talk about him, being done at 50, he's 47. Like, it's not even that old.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Randy Orton is, 44. And I think, AJ Styles is 46. So like these dudes are all up there at a high level. So it's crazy to think that this dude in just a short amount of time has become beloved by like the guys of our era. Because, we talked about it from like 2007 to like 12, dude, like we couldn't wait for him to get off television. Like, it was like, I'm tired of seeing this guy.
Yeah. And I wish
like,
I appreciated him so much.
I know. And
I really did.
And that's why I like going back now and watching like pay-per-views from like the Ruthless Aggression era, because now I can look back with like so much reverence for John Cena, be like, dude, this dude carried the whole thing on his shoulders. And now I look back just completely differently, and hindsight's always 2020. And it sucks because I remember going to events and booing the shit out of them, and now I'm like, I'm sorry.
I know. Like
he accepts your apology
3 years ago.
I'm sure he does. Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yep. All right. Number 6, Dean.
Of the 3 of us, I'm probably the only person that has this guy on the list. I think he's one of the most underrated wrestlers ever, performers ever. Batista.
Shit, he won't make my top 10, but that's a great name to have Batista on a top 10.
I am such a big fan of Batista. I've talked ad nauseum to you guys, just on text messages, how big of a fan of Batista I am.
Dean, George, I think you and I even said last week during Judgment Day, like, dude, how underappreciated Batista was. And
he really is.
Yeah,
even when he came back in what was it? It was 2014.
Yeah.
Like, I was like the only person who was like, I want to see him win the Rumble and win the belt.
I did not mind it at all. Yeah. It was
like,
great.
Fuck Daniel Bryan. I didn't give a shit about that stuff. I wanted Batista to win that title. That's what I wanted. I wanted Batista and Randy Orton for the belt. That's what I wanted. And of course, I didn't get it. The two-legged goat won it. I mean, I like Bryan Danielson, but like, sorry, dude, you're not Batista. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
he was already a world champion. They made it seem like he needed to win this belt. It's like, dude, you won that belt already. Like, you won the world title already. You lost it in 17 seconds to Sheamus.
Yes, he did. I mean, like I said, I still am a big Danielson fan, but like, no, I love Batista. I loved him in Evolution. Loved him outside of Evolution when he was just champ. Like, he's awesome. He gets wrestling.
Yeah.
He understood the assignment.
Like when they did on like that SmackDown like 20th anniversary, when Evolution came out and they were all talking, and then that set up the eventual Batista Triple H match, and Batista was talking about Triple H. Oh, he's beating everybody except me, and then stared right at Triple H. It's like, oh, fuck you, dude! Like, you you
Yeah.
knew what we all were fucking wanted. Like it's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love going back now and watching Ruthless Aggression again because like you see that rise of Batista, and then when you get to WrestleMania 21 where he finally breaks away and beats Triple H for the title, it's like, dude, it was like, it's like they strapped
Yeah.
the rocket to Batista, and he was
Mhm.
spectacular.
He was. Also had a great entrance when they let him use the pyro.
Oh yeah, you know why?
That's so cool.
Saliva. That's
Saliva.
why.
Yeah. I wonder how big his dick is.
Oh, I don't ask George.
Only Only
George.
Melina knows for sure.
All right, so George, you're number 6.
Also
number
the best
6
wrestler turned actor.
What's
Hands
that?
down the best. Cena
Yes.
would be number 2, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
probably.
Cena's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll give you Cena. Yeah.
I was gonna go Hogan, but all right.
My number 6 is somebody who probably does know the answer to that all important question about Batista. It's Triple H.
Ooh,
Mm.
Triple H is number 6. I
Mm.
thought he would have been higher. Okay.
Mm.
My
Nice.
list is pretty much unchanged from the last time we did
Okay,
it.
I don't
except
remember.
for,
I don't
like,
remember.
except like the bottom half.
Okay.
But
Hey, how can you remember? How can you expect Chris to remember? He'll send us something in the Instagram group, and then the next day he'll send it in Facebook or in our text message. And I'll be like, I already saw. I just play along with it. I'm like, oh yeah, cool, nice.
Well,
Of
that was like
course,
when
of course.
well, that was like when you sent the clip of Robin Williams talking to Walter Cronkite at Disney.
Yeah.
It's like I said this 3 weeks ago, and I
Ah,
said the
piss.
exact same thing after I said it
All
before.
right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's
No,
funny.
it's
It's all right.
Yeah,
Who cares?
but-
It's all right.
but Triple H, holy shit, what a fucking career this guy's had.
You don't say.
This guy's I mean, it's
Well,
weird.
he
right?
only got it because he was bagging the
Yeah.
boss
Right.
business. The daughter's
His
the
daughter,
daughter of
the
the
boss's
owner.
daughter.
Yeah, bro,
Bruv.
bro.
I mean, I think eventually he's gonna get hired. Just seeing what he's done with the company and the little bit of time that he's had, kind of looking over things. But everything's on the up and up now with WWE. Like they're making money. People are tuning into the product. People are going to see the product. I mean, we say Batista gets wrestling. Triple H gets wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From all angles, in ring and backstage. This guy knows everything. A real student of, forgive the pun, a real student of the game.
Well, I mean,
he
Just
buried
what
everyone in
he's
his
done,
fucking path with a golden
yeah.
shovel, and
One of the
he
worst
slept his way to
records
the
in
top.
WrestleMania history.
Scumbag.
Well, yeah, it's what's crazy is, and it has something to do to me with marrying Stephanie McMahon, because if you ask, Kevin Nash or Shawn Michaels, or even ask like Undertaker and Austin, they'll tell you like he had it in him to do what he's doing now, in 1997. Like he just had a knack for the business, and it's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was all he did was just listen to people and pay attention. I mean, they even say, and then like Nash has even got on record saying he was the only sober member of the clique.
Right.
That was partly why they hung around, because he would just drive the car over, but he was the guy who was paying attention every step of the way, learning what to do, what not to do. And his heel run is one of the greatest heel runs of all time.
It is very much so.
You hate him.
I've said this many times. I think he's the greatest heel of all time. And again, been going back and watching 2003, 4, and 5. Dude, what's it called? The Reign of Terror by Triple H. They always call it.
The Reign of Terror is what the IWC calls it.
Man, you know why? Because he was so good. He beat everybody, because that's what like a great champion heel did. And that's what you're supposed to do.
That was the best run of his career. That was so good.
It was
evolution in leading out of it. It was incredible.
And the thing of it now is that a lot of people now will look back at Triple H the way they look back at Hogan, with this like revisionist history. It was like, oh, he's always like an asshole and the son of a bitch, like the Reign of Terror.
Yep.
It's like, but when you live through that and you were watching Raw and SmackDown every week and watching the pay-per-views, like you wanted to see Triple H get his ass beat every fucking week.
Yes.
This dude lost all the time on Raw. Like he was winning the pay-per-views. This dude was getting his ass handed to him.
I don't think anybody
was always cheating to win.
I don't think JR has ever called anybody a son of a bitch more than he called Triple H.
JR doesn't hate anybody on this earth more than he hates Triple H.
More than
Yeah.
he hates the character, right? That's so
You
good.
son of a bitch, tell me why.
So was
Yeah,
there?
I agree. His wife is smoking hot. She's a
Yeah, Triple H was a face in
Yeah,
like
DX.
2000 DX, and then again later on. Oh, he was probably a baby face from 06 to the end of his career, pretty
no,
much.
probably from 06 until like the Authority. Until like
Oh well, I mean, until
probably
like
like
his
06 to
full
13.
time,
So
his
probably like
full
06
time
to
work was
13.
done. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, probably. You're probably right, Chris, about that.
yeah. So my number 6 is probably going to shock a lot of people
And the first half
watching.
of 2002.
Oh, that's right. In the first half of 22. That's right. When he made his return. That MJF decided to completely copy.
Oh, you don't say. Somebody in that company is copying something from WWE.
Never
and he still can't draw. My number 6 is Bret the Hitman Hart.
Ooh.
Speaking of
Bret
somebody who
Hart
can't draw.
again. So I love to hate Bret Hart, but
I think
damn,
Bret
like,
Hart loves to hate Bret Hart.
yeah, I agree, man. Other than Shawn Michaels, I think this guy he's got to be 1B and the greatest in-ring performer ever. I mean, the dude was unreal. Everything was always so picture perfect.
Mhm.
I think the names that he is
Well,
called
the
is
excellence of execution.
it fits
Best
because
there is,
Yeah.
the best there was, the best there ever will be.
like, people might not believe this or even realize, like, if there's no Bret Hart, there's no Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's not. There
Mm-mm.
and those two matches that those two had were a 5-star clinics that got Austin over to what
Well,
I mean just Brett is amazing, and I've always loved the tights. One of the best entrance theme songs of all time.
Yeah.
Just that great Jim Johnson guitar riff. I think he is by far maybe the most miserable human I've ever listened to in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, he has been
He-
dealt
he's
some
the
pretty
real life
rough
old man
cards in
screaming
his
at the
life,
crowd.
I have to admit.
Mhm.
I mean, he's been dealt some really rough cards.
Yeah,
but,
he was the brother of Smith Hart. What do you expect?
Yeah. It's all downhill from there.
But boy, it's a shame that he's so bitter about everything, because I would love to hear that, like, he became like a coach at NXT.
Oh, man.
What he would be able to pass along to just generations of wrestlers. But it's just a shame that if you ain't talking about Bret Hart, he's not listening, or he hates you. It's one of the two.
Or both.
Or both.
If you ain't talking about Bret Hart or Goldberg, he's not paying attention.
Right. But at the end of the day, I watch so much Bret Hart, and I usually judge my top 10 by how often I watch these guys on the network. I watch Bret so much, and I love the character Bret the Hitman Hart. So he's my number 6.
I mean, Bret and Owen would always tear the house down.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I agree. That WrestleMania 10 opener is one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right.
Best matches we've ever seen, not some other people.
Well, yeah. If it was in Jacksonville, Florida, I would have probably gotten 6 stars.
Oh, I'm sure Tokyo. The Tokyo Dome should just relocate to Jacksonville.
All right, we're now entering our top 5.
Ooh.
Dean, you're number 5.
The cream of the cream.
This might surprise some of you how low this guy is. But I didn't know where to put him. This is kind of where he falls
That's what do with his
for
hands.
me. It's Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't. We've all talked ad nauseum what Shawn means to us.
Yeah,
and the business. He's incredible. Probably the greatest pure worker.
Yeah,
athlete inside the ring. It's just amazing. But
it's all politics with him.
That's funny.
Sunny days.
Sunny days.
That man had a lot of sunny days.
Hey, look, two Hall of Fame careers. You can't beat that.
It's true.
So
3
yeah,
if you want to count the DX years separately from his two solo Hall of Fame careers.
That's true. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
But
it's
he's
not-
incredible. I just
Yeah.
don't know. That's just kind of where he falls,
All right. George, you're number 5.
Chris is losing his mind at Shawn Michaels being so low on anyone's
No,
list.
I'm not.
He's like,
Dude, wait till you hear my top 4. You're gonna be like, okay, that makes sense.
Right.
that's what we always say whenever we say something. We're like, huh? And it's like, oh, wait till you hear the rest of the list. That's our go-to saying.
It
now
is.
when it comes to top 10s. Oh, wait till you hear the top of the list. And then it's going to be, I don't know, fucking Ahmed Johnson and
It's gonna be Ahmed.
Damn it!
Come
on.
Dr. Isaac Yankem, not Kane,
Was
just
it
Dr. Isaac Yankem.
Big
Right.
fan of Isaac Yankem's thigh pads. They were
Big
random
fan.
and awesome.
Big fan.
I like how he just progressively got fatter through his career,
Yeah.
and now he's probably washing cars underneath the bridge in Mississippi.
Are you talking about Ahmed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's also like 500 pounds now.
yes, he is.
Massive. Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, he takes Pearl River Plunge to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Into gravy, not the river.
Oh boy. Number 5, George.
It's the sound he makes diving into the gravy. Ooh.
Ooh.
I thought it was just going to go yum. My number 5 is The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Old Dwayne. I mean, listen, he's number 2 to Austin all time during the hottest era of wrestling.
Yeah.
The dude, I mean, it's The Rock. Every week he got a reaction every single time.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe not when he was a face in '96. Nobody really gave a shit. I mean, die Rocky die, but
Well, yeah. He was strapped with an awful gimmick.
yeah. But he made chicken salad out of chicken shit, though.
He did. Yeah. Oh, he made a lot of chicken salad.
It's all
Since
chicken
that.
salad with The Rock.
Right. Yeah.
Love it. And then him coming back now as the final boss. Holy shit. Like the three of us were like, The Rock's on TV. I'm watching Monday Night Raw. It's like, what year is this? We don't understand what the hell is even going on, but it's amazing. And the fact that he's on the board for TKO and he's kind of overseeing it, it's good to know that like the future is in good hands.
Yeah.
Not, an old man with dementia who doesn't want you to sneeze around him because he loses his mind.
Yeah.
But The Rock, I mean, the Rock has had some of the best segments, whether he was having a match and he just did one thing that stands out, like him sliding with the shoes when he gave the elbow drop to Davey Boy. Always a fucking top 10 moment. This is your life, Rock, one of the highest rated segments of all time.
The greatest elbow drop in history.
Yeah.
It is.
The most powerful elbow drop in history.
Insane how that just became a finish. It's unreal.
Yeah. I mean, the leg drop is a finish for the other guy, so it's
true. All right, my number 5 is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I had never heard of him. He was a mid-carder at best. So I looked at my list from 2 years ago, and he was number 2. So I guess as time goes on, I love Austin. Maybe it's because so much time has passed that you kind of forgot just how hot and how over this dude was. And because I do remember in '98, I was real bitter that Shawn was gone. So I had to gravitate to somebody, and it was usually either The Undertaker or Austin. So like now when I go back to Austin, it's like only like quite a few matches do I really like, because he had some pretty bad ones in that Attitude Era, because for the most part the Attitude Era is very, very highly overrated but still great at the same time. And another thing that really hurts me continuously keeping Austin at that like top 2 or 3 is, dude, he missed a lot of time. And he missed the most time at like the hottest time of the Attitude Era. Like he missed over a year, and then later on he took his ball and he went home for 10 months, like 9-10 months. So he missed a lot of time in that time period where guys like Undertaker and Triple H, they were just there every single week. Kurt Angle when he got to that point.
The Rock.
So Oh yeah, Rock. While Austin was gone, he had to take over as that number one babyface. So, yeah, Austin's my number 5. I think he's the second biggest star in the history of the industry. Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, but I still think it's Hulk Hogan. Then you have the core of the earth, and
Mhm.
then Stone Cold. And I know people and Vince has said this that Austin's the biggest draw of all time. I just disagree. Austin did it for less than half the time that Hogan did it. I mean, if you really look at the peak of Stone Cold Steve Austin, it's 98, a little bit of part of 99, some of 2000, some of 2001. And that last run he had in 2001 was considered a failure because the heel turn didn't work because everyone loved him.
Yeah.
So if you really dig deep into Austin, that run was just it's not long. Same with
No.
The Rock. It just wasn't long.
Yeah.
I mean, Roman Reigns has had a much more significant career than Austin and The Rock. He's headlined 9 WrestleManias in a row.
I'll
So,
I'll look at it this way when it comes to like Austin and The Rock having their, basically having such a small period of time where they were on top, is they got to be on top and then leave before the crowd got bored of them.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Cena was basically shoved down our throats. That's why
yeah,
we all booed him. We got tired of him. Roman, when he was a face, we were fucking sick of it.
yep,
Nobody cared.
yeah,
But
Oh, sorry, George.
I say, but you in this business, and you see it even with Hogan. Even by the time like '93 came around, nobody was really cheering all Hogan all
yeah.
that much.
Mhm.
Like
Oh yeah,
when
it's
you
a known
start to
fact
get
that those.
when it starts to get stale,
Yeah.
you got to change it. You got to do something.
Yeah,
So the fact they were around for just that small period of time helped them exponentially.
Mhm.
it's a known fact that the WWE dubbed over the booze in those later pay per views before he left the company in
Oh yeah,
'93
for
because
sure.
he was not being cheered the way he used to be cheered. Just to piggyback on what you said, George, I don't think people would have gotten sick of Stone Cold. I definitely think if The Rock stuck around, people might have gotten sick of him.
Interesting.
I think the reason The Rock, because I think The Rock works now because he comes back and he's something different every time.
Yeah.
Whereas I think he probably would have fallen into that. Like he might, let's say he never goes to Hollywood. He probably never becomes Hollywood Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll just become heel Rock again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just he probably would have just bounced back and forth between heel and face, and not actually getting the greatness of of Hollywood Rock, and then the babyface Rock against Cena, and then what we had all end of last year into this year. So I could have
What
definitely see the Rock getting a little stale. Is going so long with the same shtick.
I'll say this too, and what's so crazy when you look at the career of The Rock, he stopped being a full-time performer by the time he was 30 years old. Like
Yeah.
by 2002, he was a part-timer.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like in 2003, when Austin was done, he was 38.
Yeah.
And in today's day and age, you're just getting started at 38. But yeah, like The Rock just got out. Like he got in, he made it huge, and he pieced. Like it was like he
Hey,
was 30 years old. He's like, all right, I'm out.
we talked about this before, and I said I would not have it any other way as a fan of The Rock because we've gotten 3 monumental returns with The
Yeah, because
Rock,
he was
and
fresh every time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll take that any day of the week
I
over
agree.
what we Edge. I hate to say it, but
Yeah, what we
like
got with Edge, yeah.
or Kurt Angle retiring by Baron Corbin. You know what I mean? Like I'll take what we got with The Rock.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so number 4, Dean.
Triple H.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I thought that was gonna be higher.
He's
Much
no,
laughing
higher.
at your choice. You see that?
no, he's laughing at the fact that he thought it was Bill Goldberg.
It's definitely did not think it was gonna be Bill Goldberg.
He
No,
thought it was gonna be Tom Zink.
well,
Yeah.
we still have 3 more spots.
That's
No, I love Triple H. I loved him
Yep.
when he was in DX with Shawn, the leader,
Mhm.
all of it. Always been a fan of him. Ring general,
Agreed.
arguably the greatest ring general of all time.
Oh yeah,
Agreed.
Just fantastic. Heel
Yep.
run, like you said, Chris, in 03
Second to
to
none.
06. I don't think there's a better heel run than that.
let me
Biker shorts, come on.
Yeah.
while we're talking about Triple H, and white boots. Don't forget white boots. While
I
we're talking
love
about
the white
Triple H real
boots.
quick, I want you both to kind of imagine something. And it just popped to my head.
Mm.
Imagine Triple H versus Gunther.
And like
How
the
good would
prime.
that be? Yeah, like prime Triple H against Gunther.
So who's the heel? Who's the baby face?
Who cares?
Oh, I mean, it matters because who's going to
Well,
sell?
I mean, I guess if you're going to do this, you probably have to have Triple H as the face because
Okay.
Gunther works
Then
so
that-
well as a heel.
Then that would be an absolute bang out match. Yeah.
Kind of like how we just had Gunther and Randy Orton at
Yeah.
King of the Ring.
Yep. I think
Triple
that would
H
have
and
been
Gunther.
tremendous. I agree.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. Triple H would have sold his face off for him, which would have been great. Your number 4, George.
My number 4 is John Cena.
John Cena.
Good old
Mhm.
John Cena. Hated John Cena. Hated this man.
You hated him more than I did.
So fucking much. Because
could see it.
I'll tell you what it was, and I'm sure I'll get flack for it. It was the white rapper gimmick that was just fucking excruciating to get through. Because we all know, because we grew up in that time, like when Eminem came out, we had at least 10 fucking white friends who all of a sudden were from fucking South Central California. It's like, dude, no, you're living up on a fucking hill in a nice house. You ain't from the streets. Stop talking like it. It was just everybody was doing it. And I was like, I fucking hate all of this. And then here's Cena, and I'm like, oh, fuck this guy. Like, I already, I'm just bored of him all over the place.
Mhm.
But then, once he started winning the mid-card titles and holding those open challenges, and you got people like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens coming over from NXT, and guys like Cesaro were getting shots, and they're putting on these 15-minute matches, and Cena's making them look like $1 million, and they're making Cena look like $1 million. It's like, you know what? Maybe I judge this guy too harshly. And then going back now, Chris, and we're reviewing those Ruthless Aggression pay-per-views, I definitely judged John Cena too harshly.
Yeah. And
He's a lot better than what history has kind of skewed for him with his 5 moves of doom.
He could go.
Chris.
I don't care what anybody says, dude. He could go.
He could. We used to, George and I used to have Friday night soirees at a friend's house.
Mhm.
I one time found this really thick chain and put a lock on the end of it, and I used to wear it around my neck and constantly would do this to George just to infuriate him at the parties. And this, always was doing this.
Oh, that's amazing.
Now I just do this. This is on instinct now.
Yeah, but I was like, this was 2008, so this was like prime. Everybody hates John Cena.
Oh, that's so
and I was
good.
constantly just like, we would be playing beer pong, and I'd be like, "Oh, you can't see me, George." And he'd be like, "Of course." Then he would sink it, of course. But
yeah, and then I'd be like, "Oh, you can't hit the last cup, Dean."
That's the rare time that him and I weren't on a team together, though.
Yeah,
so,
which was
but still,
rare. Yeah,
but still,
What's going
it
on,
was
Tyson?
great. It was great to just troll George with that.
I mean, and you figure when you look at Cena, he took something just as dumb as "you can't see me," and it's just parlayed that into the greatest long running joke of all time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even people who don't watch wrestling, they'll comment a picture of John Cena and be like, "Oh, well, you say Cena's there, but where is he?"
Whereas, yeah.
Even so much, I took that picture that Dean has of him and John Cena, and I photoshopped Cena out of it. Just to be like, so Dean can put it back up. And be like, oh, here's me and John Cena.
That was like some of your best work, was when you actually photoshopped John Cena out of that picture. That was one of the best. All right, so my
You need to
number 4.
Photoshop him in the photo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actual one is the one I put him in it. Just so Dean won't look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is Seth Rollins.
Wow, I actually expected him to be
expect
higher.
him to be in number 2.
Oh,
I expected him to be well. There's still 3 more spots. He could show up again.
Yeah. Yeah, number 3 is gonna be Seth freaking Rollins. Number 2 would be the Architect, Seth Rollins. And then
number 2 was gonna be Colby Black.
Tyler Black.
Tyler Black. Colby
Who's
Black
Colby
was
Black?
that was his first
That was
name,
his first.
and
Yeah.
then he
Oh,
became
was it?
Tyler Black.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tyler
okay.
Black in ROH.
Yeah, I knew him as Tyler Black. I didn't know Colby Black was his first name.
Yeah.
Isn't that his real name?
Colby
Colby
Lopez.
Lopez is his
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
Chris can change his name to that next week.
We're gonna get a text message saying, "Hey guys, I'm 6% Hispanic."
Chris can be forcing Morgan to dye her hair red.
I'm gonna have a white streak down her hair.
He's gonna be like he's like, honey, dear, can you do me a favor and do like every Chola does and put that brown lipstick on with the brown line around the lip like everybody did in the 90s? I tell that to Allie all the time. She's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, why?
Well, how dare you?
He's gonna be making Morgan talk with an Irish accent from now on.
So yeah, he's been probably one of my, he's been my favorite singles wrestler probably since 2015. And I think he's this generation Shawn Michaels in terms of just flat out in-ring ability. I think he's a leader in the locker room, obviously. And the fact that he's still like so young, he just turned 38. So him and like Roman have so much more to do in the business. It's just crazy to think. And we talked about this like weeks ago. Like, guys, we can't even believe it's been 10 years that they've been front and center since entering with the Shield. It's just wild how great they are and how far off the third idiot has, completely just fell off.
How dare you scumbag?
Sorry,
he is the IWGP LMNOP champion. The fucking disrespect
That's true.
Right now.
I'm sorry. So yeah,
he's
Seth
a
is my
veteran CZW.
Is my number 4. All right, number 3, Dean.
It's the King of Kayfabe, Undertaker.
Very nice.
I thought you were gonna say the King of Kings. I'm like, you already said him.
No, I said Triple H. I didn't say the King of Kings.
Oh, right. You're right.
Sorry. It's Taker. No, he was the embodiment of professional wrestling.
Yep.
And I want to reiterate something again real quick because I was scrolling through X earlier or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, and the ending of the Mania main event came up again, the last 5 minutes, and I still love every 5 minutes of that, even with Taker, because again, the pictures right here. I had said when it happened that night that I was disappointed because everybody was expecting Austin.
Yep.
And I was disappointed when I saw Taker, but then when you watch it now, knowing Taker's going to be there without the expectation of Austin, it is still so cool for him to show up.
Yeah.
It's so awesome, and I still, George, we met him last year, and he was so nice.
Yep.
And just he shook all of our hands, and he does generally seem like he likes to meet his fans.
Yeah, after all that time of him
not being able to meet him
doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
We my buddy Kyle and I met him 3 days before the whole world shut down. In New York City.
I heard you told me about that.
Yeah, like he was so cool. One, the dude's massive, like
gigantic,
true. WWE messes with things all the time. Like Hulk Hogan always said he was built 6'7", but he was really like 6'4". No, the Undertaker is legitimately like 6'9", 6'10".
He's
massive. And yeah, he's awesome. We'll get to him a little bit later. George, you're number 3.
My number 3, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
I don't even know what I can say about Austin. We haven't said at this point.
Yeah.
He probably would have had a much longer run had he not gotten his neck broken in 1997.
For sure. Absolutely agree.
But like I said, I think with him, it had to. Austin's one of those guys.
He had to break his neck. Yeah.
He didn't have to break it. He had to have a small run for us to appreciate it.
I can understand that.
Although I do like when he was the sheriff on Monday Night Raw, when he was just fucking with Bischoff every other week. And then just showing up on pay-per-views when Bischoff and Heyman would start screaming at each other. And then he's like, all right, whose fault is this? And then he just gives someone the stunner and walks away. Just riding out in the four-wheeler, like almost dumping it on every fucking turn.
Yep. That's great. All right, so my number 3 is The Game, Triple H. again, like this guy, not much else you could say about Triple H, man. I probably watch other
Well, give us
than
your favorite attire by Triple H then.
definitely
And why
WrestleMania
is it,
20
why is the
white.
why is the purple pants from SummerSlam?
I mean,
90?
they're great, but my favorite Triple H tights ever are WrestleMania 20, the white boots and the white tights.
Those are good. I do like those. Yeah.
Like to come out as the world heavyweight champ in white, that's a badass
At that time,
move.
when everybody was wearing black,
Right.
like
Yeah,
everybody wore black for like 5 years. That
Yep.
was it. Yeah.
So I would definitely say those are definitely my favorite. I even like the pants that he wore in the corporate ministry, the black with like the silver and it
Mm,
said Triple H.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool too.
Mhm.
But then again, yeah, you go back to that SummerSlam, that ladder match against, or was that Survivor Series? No, that was
No, it's-
SummerSlam. Highway to
it's
Hell.
Rock. It was 98, yeah.
That
He
yep,
had the
Highway to
purple
Hell.
pants.
That was those purple ones were great. The red ones with the gold lettering.
Love the red ones.
It's just so great.
There
Yeah.
was a pair of black ones with red H's on it that he wore in a match against The Rock on Raw for the Intercontinental title.
Oh.
That
And-
I always thought looked really good.
I also did not hate WrestleMania 19, the purple, the
I-
lavender.
Yeah,
Pretty
that was
sick.
good too. Yeah.
That was really good. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Triple H. I think that the world of pro wrestling is in such great hands. I always felt in my heart of hearts when I really learned about wrestling and what could work, you put the business in the hands of a smart worker, everything's gonna be much better. The fact that the industry is ran by Shawn Michaels and Triple H, it's
Mhm.
pretty wild to think about that. And
Excuse me,
just
Chef Michaels. Thank you
Chef
very much.
Michaels, I'm sorry.
Chef Michaels.
So yeah, it's pretty awesome. All right, number 2 for you, Dean.
It is the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Number 2.
He's the reason why I got into wrestling.
It's
I was-
true.
I was a massive Hulkamaniac. I still am to this
Still are,
day.
Mhm.
I loved him as Hollywood. The only time in his career I did not like him was that last run on when he wrestled Randy Orton.
Yeah.
That was,
Oh, yeah.
that was the old, because I just felt he was you could tell he was hampered by injuries. He
Oh,
had
yeah.
2 knee braces on. His hair was too long. It looked nappy. Like
Yeah.
he looked like he was done. He was done, and he shouldn't have gone over against Orton. He was done.
And then, hey, but he wasn't done though. He went to TNA.
Yeah, well, we all
And he
make
gave
that
Abyss
mistake.
his Hall of Fame ring.
Well, hey Terry, I think Randy, I think we should put the kid over tonight. That doesn't work for me, brother.
Don't work for me, brother.
I got one more big run in me, and it starts with this youngin. All right. Remember when I did the Billy Kidman pal?
Kidman won though. I think Kidman
yeah, I
won
know,
that pay-per-view match.
yeah, but he was kind of buried from then
Yeah.
on out.
Yeah, Hogan's like, I'll let you get the W, but you're going to lose every match.
Oh,
From
you're
now
gonna
until
lose
this company
every-
folds,
Yeah.
else.
including your wife later.
You're number 2, George.
My number 2, it's old scary Mark, the Undertaker.
Old scary Mark. Old mean Mark.
Old mean Mark. I didn't see much of him after he left WCW. But no, I mean, Taker looked like the coolest fucking guy. Like,
Yep.
whenever that gong hits, everyone just
Yep.
fucking loses their mind.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. Like, I'm a big horror fan. Dean, you are too. Chris, I know horror movies give you night terrors.
Yeah, I
and,
get
and
It
you
gives-
I
and you
get poopy
pissed-
pants from horror
gets-
movies.
and you
He
piss the
gets
neighbor's
soggy
bed
bottom.
from- he gets a soggy bottom. But like seeing someone like the Undertaker, though, and you're a horror fan, you're like, oh,
Soggy bottom.
Ooh.
but like when you see a guy like the Undertaker and you're a big horror fan, you're gonna pay attention to everything this fucking guy does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically a walking corpse. So you want to see what he's gonna do. And then when he became Biker Taker, the American Badass, and a lot of people hated it. I loved it.
I loved it.
I thought it was great. Him coming
It was
out.
true to who he was.
Yeah. And it gave him more freedom to do a little more in the
Yeah,
ring.
he could
didn't have
work.
to
Yeah.
be all
I
rigid like a
appreciate that so much
breadstick.
more
He could-
now.
Yeah,
What's that?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I love that. And when he went back to being the dead man, bigger, even better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it reminds me of like when you hear about Kiss taking the makeup off in '83. When they when they went to put the makeup on, like, oh, it'll never work. And then when they take the makeup off, they're like, what are you crazy? It'll never work. And then they put
Yeah.
the makeup back on and we're still big.
Yep.
Like Taker, it didn't matter what he did. People were paying attention.
Yeah.
You wanted to see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
The streak, undeniable.
Undeniable. That was like the last real thing left in wrestling was that streak. So fuck you, Vince McMahon, for taking that from everybody. My number 2 is also The Undertaker. And as I'm starting to get older, my appreciation for that dude, it's like you said, it's like undeniable. It's the respect is, just at an untapped level. When Ole Anderson told him when he was going for a raise in 1989 at WCW, Ole Anderson looked him in the face and said, "Nobody will ever pay to see you wrestle." And he became the greatest character of all time. He became, is there anything in pro wrestling? Maybe the Glass, maybe. Is there
Did anyone
anything?
ever pay to see Ole Anderson wrestle?
No. I'm sure Ole Anderson would never pay to see Ole Anderson wrestle.
He's dead now.
Yeah, it's true. Is there anything more iconic in pro wrestling than the Gong?
Aside from
honestly,
the glass breaking,
other than the Glass, I think the Gong, right?
Yeah.
And what's even the best thing about Undertaker, which is why it sucks I can't put him in the Mount Rushmore, because you just can't with the 4 names that are up there. It really does bug me that
I'll give him the Washington Monument, though.
That's fine.
That's reserved for Batista's day.
Well, we don't know.
It really does.
He can have the Lincoln Memorial.
It really does bug me that I can't put the Undertaker in there, because this is a dude that was over for 30 years. Like, he was never not over.
Nobody ever said, "Oh, fuck the Undertaker." Like, nobody ever said that.
Never. And God, in 1994, one of my favorite, and even Undertaker said this, and I couldn't believe he said it on it. He has a great podcast, everybody. Yes, the Undertaker has an incredible podcast called 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway. So definitely go find that on YouTube.
Fuck is Mark Calloway?
Right. He even said this, like, the Undertaker versus Undertaker in 1994 at SummerSlam is the hokiest shit you'll ever see in wrestling. But he said he loved it because if you guys want to go back and watch all that, watch the build to that pay-per-view. The build was so awesome. And he was just one of those guys where it was fun to suspend your disbelief with professional wrestling. And the dude just went through every era, every generation, and he's just forever. That dude is forever.
He is then, now, and forever.
He is. And I watch so much Undertaker stuff, man. And I also got to give him more credit. You talk about the ultimate soldier, the shit that Vince McMahon gave this dude for so many years, the Heidenreichs, the Giant Gonzaleses, the King Kong Bundys, and all of the garbage that he put in front of Undertaker, or the Mabels, who was the real third man of the NWO.
He's a real
Meltzer.
third man. Listen, I read it on a piece of toilet paper in the bathroom.
That's right. And
it was a piece of toilet paper in the bathroom. Sure, it wasn't nothing.
And then the fact that all the shit that you strapped in front of this dude, and he just ran through it and did it. You took the streak away. You took there was a point the last 5 or 6 years of the streak before it was broken where that was, even though it wasn't the main event, that was what you looked forward to the most at WrestleMania, was the Undertaker match, is the streak going to continue? It just sucks that it ended the way it did, but whatever, can't change it.
Yeah.
To me, I still think it's the greatest thing ever in wrestling was the streak.
I would have liked to have seen somebody win the Royal Rumble and then, instead of getting a title shot, be like, I want to take the streak from the Undertaker.
So to answer this, Hailstrom, is I can't put Taker in the Mount Rushmore. I can't find a way to put him above Austin, Cena, Hogan, and Rock. Like, I just can't. I mean, I hate the fact that The Rock is on there, but he's the biggest name like in the world, and he's attached to pro wrestling. He has to be on the Mount Rushmore. And obviously the other three, John Cena was literally on top as champion for like a decade, and he was on top for 15 straight years and barely took any breaks. A 16-time world champion. Like, to be honest with you, if I'm gonna make a Mount Rushmore and I have to fit Undertaker on it, then I'm probably taking out John Cena to put the Undertaker there. But right now I can't, because Cena was the man. Like, when Undertaker was a part-timer, Cena was the guy. Like, he was. So that's I have to keep that 4 there. But it's a great question. Why can't I? Because my heart of hearts, I want to, but I just can't right now.
Sure.
Maybe
Same.
soon. All right.
Because
So
you've already reserved a Mountainside, and the construction has already been taken place.
Right.
You can't just change it now.
Yeah. All right. Number 1. Here we go.
He's
what?
number 5. If there's a fifth
Absolutely
spot on
agree.
Rushmore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree. All right. Number 1. Dean.
Real quick, I'm going to give you 2 honorable mentions. It's Stone Cold, because he's not on my top 10, but I love Stone Cold. He's just not in my top 10 favorites. And Shane Douglas. Underrated, great heel, awesome tassels on his boots. My number 1 is also Smoking Hot Ballet. I mean,
yeah,
Shane was awesome. I know you didn't like him, Chris, but I love
it's okay.
Shane.
It's okay.
Number 1 is The Rock,
Mhm.
and it was solidified when he came back for this run. I was like, this. He's my favorite of all time. There's just, to me, he's my all-time favorite. It's not even close. So that's it.
George.
Chris, you know who number 1
I know
is.
who number 1 is.
You know number 1
Yes.
is. It's your number 1 also.
Yeah.
Which means now you can tell him, hey, mark the time. You can start listening at 1 hour, 17 minutes.
Right.
So you can hear us virtually blow this man over YouTube.
That's
and
funny.
It's the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do what he did in the ring.
Yeah.
And just have a great match with the worst fucking wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
And you're getting at the very least a 3-star match of it just because of HBK.
Yeah.
Just a couple years prior, you could have watched Tom Zink.
Yeah, I could have, but yet I didn't.
Yeah.
You should
missed
have.
out.
I mean, you missed out on a great one.
How did you not make your top list, or are we come back to you for 1A?
I have a 1A.
But you're right. Go ahead.
His return in 2002 was, nobody ever thought we'd see this man in the ring again.
Yeah.
Like,
and like George, we covered Judgment Day 2008 last week, and we're like, it's 2008. We're 18 months away from the retirement of Michaels, and he's putting on 5-star matches at a Judgment Day.
Yeah. With the learning tree.
Yeah, with the learning tree, right. Which, at that time, Jericho was awesome.
We're all branches.
So, yeah. And
could tie a rope from mine.
So, when since this is like a new audience and we do YouTube now, I always say this about HBK, and people always question me,
is it if he was only Marty Garner?
Oh my God. And people always say, like, how can you say the second run was better than the first? And I always break it down this way. And I break it down by WrestleManias. And I go, WrestleMania 19, he comes back, the best match on the card against Chris Jericho. WrestleMania 20, the greatest triple threat match of all time. Main event, WrestleMania 20 against Benoit and Triple H. WrestleMania 21, arguably the greatest match of all time against Kurt Angle. WrestleMania 22 somehow made Vince McMahon look great in the ring at WrestleMania 22 on an off night. WrestleMania 23, he takes John Cena to main event finishing school and loses to main events Ford Field against Cena. 24, he retires Ric Flair. 25, the single greatest match of all time against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. And then he goes out with one of the best ever in a rematch against Undertaker at WrestleMania 26. How can anyone top that resume? And that's just the second round. That's just the second half of his career.
That's just him like in the twilight of his career.
Right. And what I also loved most about Shawn was, you're right, he lost way more than he ever won. And if you look at that second run, the amount of dudes he would go in and put over: Chris Masters, Carlito, Shelton Benjamin, and the list went on and on. Legacy. He helped put over Legacy. Him and Triple H made somehow the Spirit Squad relevant for a while. It's that kind of stuff. That's like the Bret Hart stuff, the Undertaker stuff.
You didn't even mention SummerSlam 2002.
Oh well, yeah, literally
SummerSlam 2005 when he made that young and up and comer Hulk Hogan look great.
Dude, to come back after being out 5 years in 2002 to wrestle 45 minutes against Triple H and be the best worker on the card of that Hall of Fame lineup
in cowboy boots and jeans.
Mutant. He's the greatest of all time. And I can go on and on. We could, because it's an unmatchable career, really. And now what he's doing with NXT is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's cooking.
He's big cooking. Time. Yeah.
He's got a chef hat.
Cook.
That's got a chef hat. He's making
Ain't
something.
Like Russ. We're trying to stop Russ from cooking. We want Shawn to keep cooking.
Yeah, and Hailstrom, you're right. He did one of the best things ever. He helped screw over Bret Hart.
Excuse me, Bret Hart tapped out.
That's accurate.
And also, Bret screwed Bret. So I don't.
Bret absolutely screwed Bret.
Let's not mince words here.
Yeah,
we know.
Yeah, we know.
If Vince had it his way, he would have shit all over Bret's head.
And then not paid him.
And then not paid him.
Not paid him and got caught.
Right. All right. Thank you guys so much. That's been our top 10. Here's what's coming up over the next couple weeks, just to give everybody an update here. Next week, we're going to be covering Bad Blood from 2004. That match, or that pay-per-view, was headlined by the 45-minute Hell in a Cell rivalry blow-off between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. After that, the Great American Bash from 1996. Nothing important happened that night. And then we're going to finish off June with a fun one. King of the Ring 2001. If y'all don't know what happened in King of the Ring 2001, just Google it, please. Yeah. We're going to cover that. And then we're going to go in through July, Bash at the Beach 1996. And then we're going to do our top 5 favorite non-WrestleMania Shawn Michaels matches, because July is his birthday month. Then we're going to do In Your House Canadian Stampede from 1997. And then the end of July, I do want to talk about Hogan's immediate impact on the business after the heel turn. Kind of be a fun little discussion piece on what the business basically became, just a month after that Great American Bash in 96 that changed everything forever.
Well, Bash at the Beach was where he actually did the heel turn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bash at the Beach was actually where he did the heel. I'm sorry. Bash at the Beach. And then August, we got SummerSlam 2002, which I'm sure Dean will probably want to join us for that one.
I'm sorry, what was that?
SummerSlam 2002 in August, we're going to cover.
Yes, I'll be there.
Yep, Hog Wild 1996. And then we're going to go back-to-back with SummerSlam 2005 and SummerSlam 2006. All right, so to end, I want to kind of go over what we're going to be starting in September. By the way, thank you, Hailstrom, for sticking around, man. Really do appreciate that support. So I was going over ideas, like I was talking to George about it last week. I was going over ideas on what to start doing in September. And I really wanted to do something where we started like a 2002, and we would watch every Monday Night Raw and talk about it, and kind of break down Raw each week by week based on the date that we start in the year. Then I was walking my dog, and I was like, you know what? I got to talk to George. Something just popped up in my head. And I'm like, how about this? I wanted to start this whole thing in September. I Googled Monday Nitro and I found out that the very first Monday Nitro was September 4th, 1995. And I said, holy crap, that's it. Let's start in September. We're going to go through week by week the Monday Night Wars. We are going to go and we're going to watch Nitro and we're going to watch Raw. And we're going to talk about what happened on those shows, what the storylines were, and then we're basically going to rate them. And I feel like it's going to be so cool because we're going to go week by week and we're going to basically like live say, man, Nitro was really that good, or WWF was not as bad as people thought it was in 95, 96. So I'm really excited that we're really going to dig in to the Monday Night Wars on a week-to-week, show-by-show basis. I think it's going to be really cool insight for us to go back 29 years to start this all over again. And I really can't wait to do that. It's going to be really exciting. I hope people enjoy it. I'm looking forward to covering the Monday Night Wars in order. Like we're not going to go out of order. We're going to go week by week. It's going to be awesome.
What about the Wednesday Night Wars?
We might get to that. Never.
I think the Cleveland show is going to do those.
What'd you say?
I said I think the Cleveland show is going to do those.
Okay, so at the Hot Tag Podcast on Instagram, check us out there. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and of course ring the bell for notifications. We are at the Hot Tag Wrestling Show on YouTube, so check us out there. George and Dean, what do you guys got coming up on the Multiverse Movie Podcast this week or next week?
Well, this week be tomorrow that we're actually recording.
We got versus Spock.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great
40th
movie.
anniversary.
Wow, 40 years.
What a fucking film.
It'll be live like by dinner time tomorrow.
Awesome. Cannot wait.
Time Monday.
All right. So for Dean and George, I'm Chris C. Francesco. Thank you guys so much. I will definitely leave out ECW. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your week and weekend.
What?
And we'll catch you guys down the road. Have a great one. Bye-bye.